How are we going to do it? I'm going to read the question. Y'all read the answers. Throw the answer in the chat, and then we'll keep it moving. All right, question one. For the security reasons, an organization needs to ensure that the information is located and managed only by its employees. What cloud model should the organization adopt? Now, if y'all could be so kind, can someone explain to me why it's private?
Sure, I can. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I can explain it. So, with a private cloud model, essentially most of that data is owned or operated within the organization or the business owners. So, any possible private data that needs to be, stored will only be accessible by those organization members or business users.
Why not hybrid?
Mm, I feel like with hybrid specifically, some of the data is stored on site and some of the data is stored in the cloud. And for vulnerability reasons, without having everything stored in the exact same place, it poses risk of that data being accessed by any unauthorized member. Because anybody could just come to that on-site place and access that as well.
Awesome.
And for people like me who like thought process is a little on the childish side. I think of like Starbucks too to explain everything. Yeah, me. But like when you're thinking of it as a restaurant thing, it's public to everybody who drives by who can do it. Whereas private is just for those employees who have their own passwords. And then the communities for the people who are in the building, but it can't be accessible to like different things, even though it's not a Wi-Fi. But that's how I picture it, for understanding purposes. Whereas hybrid, just how my classmate said, that's like a both best of both worlds. But in this, they're not asking for that. They're asking for employees only. So that would be like our own private. You can't get in my club type of thing. So that's why I went with private in my area.
Outstanding. And yes, hybrid was not mentioned. Well, it wasn't alluded to in the question. So good process of elimination, and y'all are on the right thought pattern when it comes to that. Now, well, real quick, can someone tell me what is a community cloud and why we didn't pick that?
Community cloud. Oh, go ahead.
You got it. Go ahead.
Okay, community cloud. What I'm thinking about it is on an iPhone standpoint, when you're sharing information and stuff, it's shared amongst different people from different elements, able to utilize it in different aspects. They may not be in the same environment, but they have the ultimate same goal, or like in this instance, cloud same usage, where they all play a part. So if it's only for the employees, I feel like community would be like maybe the employees, the higher up, and then maybe even those who observe, and monitor in this instance. But that's not what's asking. They just manage only by its employees, which is outside of the community, if that makes sense.
Yes, but with community, you need to be a little bit more close knit with the community. They have to be sharing some type of likeness. Okay, so yeah, the Apple situation was on that level, but they still could be doing something totally different. So I want you to think that they're all working in the coffee industry, and they all use the same coffee application, and so they want to go in together with the same cloud instance. You get what I'm saying? So it could be Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and your local coffee company, and they all want to go in with the same thing,
That
knowing that
makes
they're
sense.
covered under the same regulations and all of that. They're covered under that with the same cloud instance in the community.
Yes, sir.
But you're
Sounds
in the
like a
right
plan.
you're in the right ballpark. Uh, Caleb, Majesty, y'all both had your hands up and then you put them down. Is that, did I jump over that? I'm sorry.
Just wondering, it's like a good example of like community cloud, like you know how when it comes to like onboarding processing or like when you have to apply for a job, specifically like, you know, Dunkin' or any fast food, how we have like our own like database for onboarding. Is it similar to that in a way? Because I know at Dunkin' we have something called the center where it's like that's where all admin, you know, uses that to process data, share info with each other, and yeah.
Say the first part one more time. What is it called again?
So it's like when you apply for a job, like an onboarding process, usually jobs have like their own like data center or like admin center that groups all of those businesses together. Like for Dunkin', we have something called the center where it's like a cloud-based application where you can, you know, register employees, do payroll and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just similar to that in a way where people are able within that organization of Dunkin', for instance, are able to share that data like across like the nation, to be honest.
No, but you're in the right ballpark again, but it's not. That's more on the, we're grouping someone and everybody's having uh the same permissions here. So we could put y'all in here and then we could say, hey, you only get access to these particular services that we want to give you as an employee. A cloud instance, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go to AWS. So a cloud instance will, this is how the conversation would go. The cloud instance, and y'all can see my screen, right? All right. So this EC2 instance is going to cost maybe, to keep it simple, $10 an hour, right? And since I'm a school, I have Metro Technologies, I'm a school. And then we have, y'all work for Pivot Technologies, right? And then we have somebody else working for Alabama Collective, right? Those three entities get together and say, you know what? Instead of one person paying $10 an hour for this EC2 instance, how about we all get together and we pay 3 in the 10 is what? 550. We all pay 550 a piece. That's over 10. But anyway, we all pay like 375 a piece.
Yeah,
Right?
370.
We all pay 375 a piece, and we can share that particular cloud instance. We won't see each other's information, but now we can have separate applications on it, but we don't have to worry about our server being what we call FERPA compliant. And FERPA is a compliance for education schools to be compliant under being under regulations. So we all want to make sure that we're regulated and we are in compliance with the law. But we all also want the EC2 instance to run our applications. We don't have to run the same applications because maybe I got somebody that could do something a little bit extra for me versus Pivot and Alabama Collective. But we all are in the community of education. And so maybe we pick a EC2 instance that's going to be that has Blackboard integrated on each and every one of our systems. So maybe they throw that in as a extra bonus because now we came in with more people, more money, and we're using this as a community versus each and every one of these entities getting $10. We're paying $10 a piece. We're just going to pay $3.75. So you're in the right realm when you're thinking about, okay, these people are all have something in common. So we'll put them over here. But I don't want you to forget that going to get a particular service from a cloud provider is like going to buy a server, right? And if we all can cut the price by getting together because we all work in the same field, we all in the same community, then it can come out cheaper on the client side, paying it to the big tech company. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Caleb, did I answer your question or?
I was just gonna add, I was just gonna add to it, just like in my standpoint of the community, was just like what you explained, but it was just I feel like private was just gonna be the answer regardless, because you don't want like everybody knowing which like server, well, what cloud you use or
Mhm.
cloud model you use. That was my main thing.
And if that's the case, then if you want to keep that privacy, then we go private, right? But if we don't care about the public, or and the public and the community is still kind of in that same realm, but the community is going to have that extra. This is why I'm grouping with these people because we all do the same thing. That's why I constantly want to bring it back to a business. Okay. All right. Question 2. Rather than purchasing a fixed number of software licenses, a business only wants to pay for a number of licenses that they actually need at a given time. What kind of cloud service model is the business pursuing? Go ahead and put that answer in the chat. All right. Sydney, do you mind telling me why is A?
I'm out the guest. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Majesty?
Okay, so as is a software as a oh, is that the right word? Hold
Mhm.
on, look at my notes real quick. Software as a service. Basically, everything comes pre-made. And because everything comes pre-made, you can scale on what you want to purchase. You don't have to purchase everything. So when it comes to your licenses, they have more flexibility. Going back to the question, um, we're basically not wanting to purchase a fixed number, which means we want more flexibility when it comes to us buying our licenses at any given time. So I feel like software as a service would be the best choice because it gives us the most freedom when it comes to payment processing and managing licenses.
Correct. Anybody know what D is? I didn't speak about D, but do we know what DAAS is?
It's maybe like domain.
No. Desktop, actually. Desktop as a service.
Oh,
So yeah. Um when it
what's the
comes
answer?
to I'm sorry, go ahead, Clark.
What's the answer?
A.
Okay, I thought it would be they would use a platform as a service because it's a complete cloud environment and they can control it and run it and build and manage everything.
Well,
I was
it's not that because it's broken down into individual. And normally when you see licenses, we taking an application and um we're hitching it to a particular number, right? And
okay.
so whenever you're using a piece of software that has a direct number to it, that license is only for you. So okay, your CompTIA, um, your CompTIA website that you got that Pivot gave you access to, that is one particular license just for you, Clark. That's it. Anybody else that uses it is against the rules. So whenever you see something like this that says software licenses, we know that it's already set and done. There
Okay.
ain't much I can really do to it. The thing about IaaS, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service is what? They give you the ISS, the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service. If you are a cook, we're doing what? We actually are creating things from
Yeah.
scratch. I'm sorry, say it again.
Creating it from scratch, like you referred to the meal, you creating a meal.
Right. Whereas software as a service, hey, whatever they give us is what they give us, which is more on the lines of we only get one particular license for one thing. If you get a license for a infrastructure as a service, I could then turn that if I'm good enough, right? I could then turn that infrastructure into an application that millions of people can use. But what they said here in the questions, a business only wants to pay for the number of licenses they will actually use at any given time. So if they wanted to scale back, they could. If they wanted to scale up, they could. That's more likely going to be on a software as a service type of deal. Now, desktop as a service, it kind of goes into the platform as a service. We already are giving you a particular desktop that you have to log into, and then you create whatever you want to create there on the desktop. Okay. This was actually, I think they rated it as difficult. I don't know. But all right, question 3. Well, any questions on question 2? Any questions?
No question.
So the user, give me 1 second. Let me read this. Yeah. Yeah. So if keeping, I want you, whenever you see these software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and then platform as a service, think about a chef. The more cooking skills they got, you know, they can go from scratch, just get the raw materials. That's going to be infrastructure as a service, because that infrastructure as a service they just going to give you the the server. They just going to give you the box. They're not going to give you any software, and they're going to say make it work. That's all you get. And we're not gonna plug it up for you. We're not gonna do nothing for you. They just give you the box, and you're supposed to have the skill level to build it into whatever you want to build it into. Platform as a service. Hey, I need a little bit of help. At least put the software on there so I can put my application on it, and then I can build and code, and then I can add some software services in there on top of that. But I don't know how to just build it from scratch and type in the machine code for things to come up off a DOS window. I don't know how to do that. So a platform as a service is going to give you something to give you a little boost. Software as a service, I don't even want to put in the OS. I just want the application to work. Just give me what you got. Um, Gmail. I just want Gmail to work. I don't want it to do nothing else. I don't care for it to do anything else. Just do email. But if you wanted to do infrastructure as a service, I'm then telling you to get you a server. Now build me a web server email from scratch. However you start that off is on you. All right. Question 3. A network technician installs virtual machines in a hypervisor software that runs directly on a server. What kind of hypervisor setup is this? Select all that apply. Anybody else gonna answer it? Okay. All right. I'm gonna wait for one more. All right. All right, so check it out. We need to go back on this. A network technician wants to install virtual machines on a hypervisor that's directly to the server, on the direct box. That goes all the way back to our first slide here. We're back here to type 1, bare metal. So when you look at this model, the first one, this hardware, well, okay, let me see if I can separate that. That's a picture, dog, on it. Insert draw. I'm gonna draw this. These are separate pictures, okay? Now, this hardware here is the computer. That's the laptop. That's the desktop. That's whatever you bought from Best Buy. It comes automatically with the operating system on it, right? Even Mac. You got the Mac, the actual Mac that you bought. You turn it on, is whatever operating system is running, and then you put the hypervisor on. That's going to be a type 2. After you put that hypervisor on, you could put on whatever you want to put on after that as far as the OS is concerned. The same thing goes for my PC. My laptop here is the actual gateway. I'm running Windows 11. I put on a hypervisor, which is VM. What is this called? VirtualBox. In the VirtualBox, what do I have? I have those little boxes inside that you see. This Windows 10 machine and the server 2019. Those are those boxes right here. Okay. This is called a host or host-based virtual machine or a type 2. Now, if you see anywhere on that test that it says it's a type 1 or bare metal, this is what it's talking about. It's talking about just having that hardware system and having something called like VMware installed on this machine. You're not probably going to see something like this coming from a store. This is something you'll probably see in a business setting. Okay. They're going to have a server, a big server that's sitting up in the data center somewhere. And on that server, they're going to have VMware installed. Let me show you VMware. They'll have VMware installed. Now, VMware looks similar to my machine, right? As far as VirtualBox is concerned. But this is a much more powerful hypervisor that can then, in turn around and put multiple OSs from that particular hypervisor. So it never goes into an operating system. Okay. You never have to set it up with Microsoft Windows, or you never have to run Windows Update on it. You can't check the time on it or anything like that. This is the hardware, and then it goes straight into the hypervisor. That's what's loaded on there. And with that, then it loads into these different OSs. So going back to our question, what was it, 3? The keywords that you wanted to see was right here. Runs directly on the server. That automatically I want you to think type 1, because we only got type 1 and 2, right? Now, Guess OS is more on the desktop infrastructure side, but I want you to think These three things have something to do with hypervisor names. You got type 1, type 2, right? And type 1 has a nickname, bare metal. It's directly on the box, directly on the server. Okay? So B and C is correct. Y'all still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We
All
here.
right.
Thank you.
Question
Yeah.
4. A developer wants to ensure that no matter what server an administrator deploys an application on, it has the libraries and dependencies needed for the application to operate properly. How can the developer accomplish this? I'll read it again. And this is, well, I'll jump into that later. A developer wants to ensure that no matter what server an administrator deploys their application on, it has the libraries and the dependencies needed for the application to operate properly. How can a developer accomplish this? Now I gotta figure out which one I'm at. All right. Majesty, explain why did you think it was D?
Oh, I really did. I mean, I took the educated guess, but I hope it's right. Um, Container virtualization, it's more well, it has everything. It has the libraries, the dependencies, and but just basically everything that the question asks for specifically in order for it to operate properly. So by having everything on there, it ensures that whatever application it on it is very consistent. No matter the server or the environment it's in. Well, it's like client side is dependent on the device. Um and server side is more on like the back end, if that makes sense.
And what
And
about
when it comes
application? I'm sorry.
and application is specifically just the application itself, not on like the dependencies.
Correct. Now,
Oh, period.
and good job on that. Because I don't know if I explained that properly. So when you have a container is going to have that application sitting out there, but it's already going to have everything that encompasses it. So when you see here on my hard drive here that I go to program files, all my applications, they can read different things in these folders here. Um, and the functionalities that they need or references that they may want to refer back to, they can always go back to this particular folder or their particular folder and look for certain things. That's what a container is going to do. So those libraries that was indicated in that sentence is looking like this, where that particular application is going to reach back into this folder, or it's going to have that folder on board with it. Let's say if they create an application and then they put it all in a container box, and they put it in a particular setting where that's the only thing that's running on that PC, then it doesn't necessarily have to run across the network to get certain things for the application's function. It can look within itself, within that container, and find the things that it needs. Okay. So the keywords, how do I get off that? Get off that. The keywords is libraries and dependencies. That's going to be more than likely an indicator of container virtualization. All right. All right. Question 5, and then I'll let y'all go for the night. A network technician configures a foundational cloud setup that will allow developers to start all the application development using a standardized server and database setup. What type of cloud service model is the technician configuring? A network technician configures a foundational cloud setup that will allow the developers to start all the applications in the development using a standardized server and database setup. What type of cloud service model? Awesome. All right. Savala, let me know why. Why C? If you can, if you're at work, not. Let me know. Caleb, let me know why it was C. Let me know why it was C.
I got this one wrong in the last one. So the key word I got out of that one was the developer. In its environment, it's everything they need to run the cloud with all the applications they can use. I don't know. I can't explain it right.
No problem. No problem. No, you saw the keyword that stuck out to you, and you made the association with the development, with the model, and that's what I want you to do. When they're talking about they're allowing the developers to start all applications using a standardized server and a database setup. These things, once they set these up, they need to now have a functionality. So they need to do something after that. So we set them up with a server and a database. Now it's on you to actually go and do something after that. So with that being said, it can't be SaaS because we didn't give them everything. We gave them a boost. We gave them something to work with. Can't be desktop as a service because we didn't talk about that. And 2, that's more of a finished product too. So it has to be a process of elimination. Are we cooking things from scratch, or is it a TV dinner? Throw it in the microwave for 30 minutes. I mean, throw it in the oven for 30 minutes. So it's going to be probably a platform as a service because we gave them something to work with. We gave them a standardized server and a database that they could now put users in, and they could set up their application on that server. So platform as a server, as a service is the correct answer.